you go into elevator and suddenly the person standing near you is, guess who? It's Bill Gates. And he just turns to you and he's like, hey, I've heard you have been working on this really cool product. Like, what is it? Can you tell me about it? So what would you tell him? So nice to meet you, Dries, and welcome.
Thank you very much. So nice to meet you too.
What I would like to start with is actually just to kick this off. Have you ever thought of what could be your elevator pitch?
I have. Yes, sure.
Really? Okay, so now let's imagine the situation just to make this more interesting that you go into elevator and suddenly the person standing near you is, guess who? It's Bill Gates. And he just turns to you and he's like, hey, I've heard you have been working on this really cool product. Like, what is it? Can you tell me about it? So what would you tell him?
Of course, I would tell Bill that I am solving email marketing automation. It's a painful product to use for most people, right? If you think at products like MailChimp, for example, it's a pain. And that is what I'm solving. I'm taking away the friction.
Okay, that's okay. That's actually pretty good. And do you think he would? Do you think he would invest in it, or he would just think about it? What do you think would be his response?
Of course, I'd hope he'd invest in it, but that's always a little guess. I hope I'd be able to convince him for sure, but I don't know how Bill thinks.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a pretty good response, and I think that tells actually like pretty well what exactly you do. And well, I know Bill Gates usually invests. I think he is more interested right now in like more of things to do with ecology. I remember he was doing like he invested in a company that was creating fresh water from toilet water, something like that. I don't know if you have heard about that.
And also loads of healthcare stuff, right? Everything that has to do with getting rid of awful diseases, like diseases that are spread by mosquitoes, for example. Bill is a very big advocate against that.
Yeah, I know. I have heard actually about it as well, and it's actually interesting because, and like you said, he's trying to do good, but I know there are a lot of people who hate him. I think he's like trying to kill the population, or I don't know, trying to do some horrible things. You've probably heard all of this, like I don't know how to call these things, like rumors or like during COVID, everyone was like, well, he said he wants to reduce the population, so he must be evil and so on.
Of course, and Bill invested a lot in COVID-19 vaccine research, and then people start saying that he was trying to implant 5G chips inside us, and conspiracy theorists are always going to go wild with that stuff.
What do you think of him in general? Do you think he's a good guy or?
I think he's definitely a good guy. I'm a very big fan of what he stands for. The way he also just built out Microsoft, my current employer, absolutely incredible how he took it from zero to the big company that it is right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Wait, you're working for Microsoft. I forgot that. Yeah. So you can't say anything bad. Okay,
Of course I can, but I very much like what he stands for.
I'm actually a big fan of Microsoft as well. I'm using different Microsoft products, and I love the company in general. Yeah, I just think they're really cool. They have like lots of cool products, and I've always been like a Microsoft fan. And do you have like any? But are you allowed to use any Apple products, or do you have any Apple products? Like what is the stance on that?
Of course, I'm allowed to use Apple products. I still use what I want in my spare time, right? I got a device from work, which is of course a Windows laptop, but I've got my Apple Watch charging right here. I'm still allowed to use whatever I want. I'm also recording this on my MacBook as well. It's so nice that I still have a choice. But I'm a very big fan of both. I don't really have a specific preference of device.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I do think like they are both useful. Like they have both their cons and pros. So depending on what you need, they can be both useful. I've always been a fan of Microsoft because I just felt like it gives me more freedom to do what I want. Because I felt like with Apple, with their ecosystem, it limits you to do like some things. So that's why I always preferred Microsoft, because I felt like it's like a Lego. Like you can probably literally do whatever you want with it. Like, so that's why I felt like, it's that's what I like basically. I like when I have the freedom to do what I want and
Exactly.
not limited.
I very much enjoy that boxed in around Apple, that I just take something out of the box and it works. I absolutely love it, but it's a preference.
Oh, you love the ecosystem when it's like everything is in one ecosystem.
Yes, of course. It's so amazing how everything works together, even with my Windows devices. It's so incredible.
Really? Okay. Well, I've never had. I mean, well, I actually had an Apple device. I had iPad, and I saw the iPad is actually really cool. I really loved iPad, so I thought it's really nice. But I haven't had like MacBook, iPhone, or anything like that. But yeah, who knows? Maybe one day I'll be try it. But for now, I use Android and Windows, and I like it. So I don't have any reasons to change. But we will see what happens in the future. So. So let's talk about like what you do. And you're working on this email automation company. So and first of all, so I know that some companies they like if you work for them, they tell you not to do anything on this. I don't know if that's true or not. They tell you not to like work on this on your side projects. Like, is have you had any problems like that, or is it fine?
Of course, I get that you asked that question. The term itself is called moonlighting, so working on your side projects besides your main job. Luckily for me, Microsoft is very open about this. All of the employees are in positions of technical leadership, and with me building that startup, it shows my digital leadership, which is so important. So I'm happy that Microsoft is very supportive of what I do.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool. That's yeah. I mean, I didn't expect that. So that's really nice that they actually that they are open for that. That tells a lot, I think.
Of course, there is, of course, quick on the side, there is, of course, a difference between a guy like me and a high ranking executive. But right now, they're very supportive.
Yeah, obviously, if obviously if it's like a high-ranking executive opens some side company, everyone would be questioning how loyal is he to Microsoft and his job. So that obviously, yeah, but that's understandable because like if you're a high-ranking executive, then you need to be focused on what you do. Otherwise, like why are you working at Microsoft? So yeah, that I totally understand that. But how long have you been working on like what's I forgot what was it
It's
called?
Plunk.
It was Plunk, right?
Yes, indeed.
Plank, yeah.
I've been working, I think around 7 months by now on Plunk, which is still very young, right? It's still such a young company, but I absolutely love the path that I've already traversed, and I can't wait to see where we head in the future.
Okay, and like, what do you think right now? Do you see it becoming a success in the next few years? Like, is it like what is the trajectory? Is it like going up? Is it like slow? Like, where are you right now?
I think hyper growth that we've seen with a couple of companies in the last few years, thinking Clubhouse, for example, I don't think it's sustainable. So I'd rather keep the slow and steady growth that I see right now and be able to continue that in the future. Now, that said, email marketing is a very consolidated market, right? It's very mature. There's a lot of big players in it. So I may bump into some walls along the way. But if I can keep the growth that I've been working on right now, if I can keep that up, I think I may be able to surprise everyone in the upcoming years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just 7 months old, and it's very young, and obviously like no, I don't think like anyone should expect from like a 7-year-old startup to have like big numbers or anything like that. Like companies are working for years, and like they pivot after 2 or 3 years, and they start from zero again. So many things can happen, but yeah, so that's why I don't think you should put like any pressure on yourself. And but are you basically the only shareholder right now?
Yes, yes. It's incredible to be by myself. I love it.
Yeah, of course you make all the decisions, like what is going to be the name, what is going to be the design, and no one gets to tell you like well, I mean, obviously they can have some like valid tips, but in general, you just do everything by yourself, and that's pretty cool. And I visited your landing
Mhm.
page, and like I myself, I am a UXI designer by profession. So, and I was actually surprised that your landing page looks pretty good, because most, like I have seen many companies on Product Hunt that have like some really bad landing pages or do some really stupid mistakes that lowers their conversion optimizations. So I'm just questioning, like, have you what have you done to have like a good design? Like I'm just curious, like in terms of as a designer, because you're not a designer as far as I understand,
That's
correct?
right. I'm a
You're a
developer.
developer, right? So yeah, you're a developer. So do you have any experience with design, or what have you done to make sure that it looks
I
nice?
actually don't have any experience with design, at least not professional experience. I've done a couple of side projects in the past that needed design and needed some basic branding. But I feel like Plunk is the first very much successful design that I've made. I think it's something you pick up over the years, right? You make mistakes and you notice, okay, this works, but this doesn't. And that way you adapt yourself and you learn to build better designs. And that's how I managed to build this together.
Okay, that's I think that's a good answer. I mean, so basically just based on your experience, correct?
Exactly. I never went to school for design. I never followed any online courses or anything. It's just experience, trying it out. And a couple of years back, I was the guy you mentioned on Product Hunt with a very basic landing page with not that good design. And from that, you learn and you adapt. I think it's very much experience indeed.
Yeah, I do think that as well, because I mean, obviously, the more landing pages you create, the better you get. And I mean, yeah. So I mean, I still think, well, I could still give you some tips on like what you could do in order to make it maybe a bit. I mean, I do think it looks great, but obviously, there's like you can always find things to improve. There's a reason why Instagram, Facebook, and all those apps are getting constantly updated, because they always find ways to improve. Yeah, I do. I think what could be cool is maybe like a bit later into the conversation, I could like share my screen. We could go over your website, and if obviously if you want that, because I have done this as a hobby before, where I would just look at some websites and just share my thoughts at what could be improved and so on. And I haven't looked too much into your website, but who knows? Maybe it's like 99%
Oh, I
perfect.
don't think it's 99% perfect, but I'd love to hear your opinion on it.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I've actually done it. Like I offer like free UXCI like reviews of websites, and just because I love, I think it's a good way to like find new people to talk to, like do some networking, share some ideas, and it's like you help the person, and then maybe tomorrow that person will help you tomorrow.
Building your network is so important, and it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you find a good way to do it. And if in your case it's sitting down with people talking about their websites, then whatever floats your boat, right?
Yeah, exactly. So whatever makes you happy, and whatever like whatever you can do basically to help. But in your case with Plank, um, have you done anything to like basically market it? What have you done, any type of marketing? If like what have you done to grow it?
It's very much organic marketing. I am, as you may have seen, I'm very active on Twitter. I try to post a tweet a day if I can and if I have the inspiration for it. I've never done any paid marketing simply because I don't have that much knowledge about it. So all the growth I've seen from Plunk is completely organic and it's slowly picking up, which is really cool to see. Organic marketing is very fun to do, but it's tedious and long process, right? It takes months before you see any results.
Yeah, that's true. I do agree with that. Like it takes you a lot of time, but if you make it right, at some point it's going to pay off, because then, for example, let's say if you build a Twitter audience, and let's say for some reason you decide to launch another product, because you already have an audience, you can just advertise it to them. So it's going to be very helpful in the long run, obviously. But that said, I do think like you could try to consider some paid marketing. For example, I can share you like my experience. My brother, he's doing drop shipping, and he's doing paid marketing through like Instagram stories, posts, and so on. And obviously, like he's finding pages that fit his market, and it's mainly closing. I mean, for your case, it's different. It's email marketing. But I was just curious if you could find any pages on Instagram, maybe where like your target audience sits. Because, for example, I am a UX/UI designer, and there are lots of Instagram pages that share like UX/UI designs and so on. I don't know, like if someone is like a email marketer or someone is not actually email marketer, because I think your audience is also developers who just building their own site. Like, have you thought who is your audience?
Of course, I have. My audience is very broad, and it's different from, for example, a dropshipper. My audience are developers, SaaS companies, and just software companies in general, right? It's not always easy to find these people because there's no social media for this. There is, but it's not the best. It's LinkedIn, of course. There's loads of companies on there, but it's not the best place to market. I've seen very much success on Twitter because there's a lot of developers there. Also, very much or very many solopreneurs like me, people that are just founding a company by themselves. And these are the people that I want to target. These are the people that I feel I can get actual value from my product because I've built it from my own perspective, which is the same as their perspective.
I mean, that you actually said something pretty interesting, that lots of entrepreneurs and tech people are on Twitter and LinkedIn. And so you think there are no specific pages on Instagram, or can you imagine any type of specific page on Instagram that like tech people would follow or developers would follow? What do you think of that? Because I know like developers are not very active on Instagram, I think.
Exactly. I myself, I'm not even that big of an Instagram user. I think there may be pages out there, but I do think it is minimal. I think there's very much audience on Instagram for food, for example, right? Recipes and food companies and clothing companies. These are pages that really thrive on Instagram. Um, and even art and UX design or UI design, these are also very big on Instagram. The problem is that Instagram is like a picture-based medium, right? So development isn't that picture-based. It's more text-based and picture-based, which makes it really hard to market on Instagram.
That's actually true, yeah. Because yeah, I have never thought of that, but you're right. Twitter is closer to writing code than Instagram, because like you can post text there. Yeah, that's actually interesting. Yeah, I was just curious, like why Instagram isn't popular among developers, but I guess it's not the best medium for like to develop. What type of images would you do? Just how you writing a code on your desk, or I don't know.
Exactly. There's a couple of pages on Instagram for developers, right? And these are very much targeted at beginner developers, right? They go through very, very basic principles of programming. For example, if statements and for loops. Advanced programmers are difficult to find on Instagram. I don't think there's many, which is why I focus on Twitter and LinkedIn.
That's true. I have worked with like quite a few programmers, and that's true. They're not a big fans of Instagram. So yeah, I mean, I myself, I'm not a big fan on Instagram. Even through like I have a past in like digital arts, and I have been sharing lots of digital artworks. But I've been doing this only for business purposes. I'm not like I don't really like enjoy that too much, I would say. Yeah. So if I open Instagram, it's only for business purposes. I don't know why. It's I don't like scrolling and just look. Maybe only like if you want to get bored and watch some like reels, some I would call them like funny or like stupid videos. But
It's mindless. It's mindless social media. It's just scrolling for the sake of scrolling. When I'm talking with developers on Twitter, for example, it's to learn stuff. It's to discover new things that I didn't know about, which is very different from Instagram.
yeah. But with that said, do you use TikTok?
I do use TikTok, yes.
What do you watch on TikTok then?
I do have a lot of developer people on TikTok, right? There's a couple of development influencers that I follow on TikTok, and it's really interesting to see because they share what they build as well, right? If they discover something cool, they share it. And I try to pick up stuff from it. It's not the same as Twitter or LinkedIn because the information is very compressed, right? They don't share everything. But if I see an interesting TikTok video, I go out to that person's GitHub or Twitter and I try to see, have they shared it there as well? Is there more information to be found here? I do prefer TikTok over Instagram, honestly.
That's interesting, yeah. Because I thought they're kind of similar because Instagram has like reels, and that's why I thought like, well, if someone can do it on TikTok, they can probably also do it on Instagram reels. So, but at least they could test it. So that's interesting. So what like is it on TikTok? Do they share like a video of their code or a video of their solutions, like or just how they build their company?
It's not pictures of code and videos of code, right? Because that's boring to watch. But it is their solutions and their companies, and they share tips and tricks. Like, hey guys, we've tried out this paid marketing method, for example, and it's completely flopped. But this is what we learned from it. And that's why I like watching it, because they share tips and insights.
And what about you also mentioned LinkedIn? Are you active on
I
LinkedIn?
am active on LinkedIn, but that is more for my day job, not for my side projects.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I have heard like from different people doing like LinkedIn marketing, but I don't know. I'm just not that familiar with LinkedIn because it's just I don't. To me, it looks like a very business oriented cold platform. Like I feel like there's not enough warmth in it. So I don't I don't know if that's true or not because I have not used it that much. But I know people are doing marketing, so that's why I was wondering. Do you think like for example for your type of product you could do like a successful marketing using LinkedIn?
I think I most definitely can. There is loads of companies on there, loads of developers as well, right? And I think if I can find my target audience on the platform, it can be really valuable. Now, finding that target audience is going to be the difficult part because there is so many different people on LinkedIn, and it's also I hate to say it, but it's right now it's being used as a cold email, cold messaging platform. It's more of a nuisance than anything else.
Yeah, I know. I have been getting like also lots of messages there, like more about like about work specifically, I think. So, well, I mean that's understandable. LinkedIn is for work, but yeah, yeah. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that platform in general. So I was thinking like I was just thinking maybe something which is more oriented towards like a new generation, something warmer could be created, like kind of like a LinkedIn, but something with for people who are not that not like suit and ties, something for other types of people, also for work. So yeah, what do you think of that? Do you think it could get a little bit warmer? Do you think it's too cold or?
I think it could get a little bit warmer, sure, but the power of LinkedIn, right? It's in the ability to being able to connect with people from other fields. For example, on Instagram, right? If you're to take your example, you're a UI UX designer. I can imagine that your feed is filled with a lot of UI and UX stuff. I'm a developer, but my LinkedIn feeds is not only filled with development stuff. There's loads of sustainability topics on it. There's load of enterprise manufacturing topics on it. And that way I can connect with people from other industries and learn from other industries, which is really powerful because many people think inside the box. They think inside of their own little industry, their own little niche, and they don't dare to step out of it, which LinkedIn kind of forces you to do because you meet so many people from different industries.
Yeah, you made me curious about LinkedIn. Maybe, maybe I should like give it another try and see if I can market what I am doing there as well. So, what have you? What like to build Plank? Just to quickly go over, like what tools do you use, like in terms of development?
So Plunk is built on the Node programming language with React. It's a fully containerized application, right? Which means, I don't know if you're a big developer guy, but these containers, they can be put in any platform. They're cloud agnostic. and they can be put anywhere, which is really the power of Plunk. It can scale up, it can scale down, which is very important for an email marketing tool because we get spikes of traffic and not necessarily always the same amount of traffic.
I do develop myself as well. No, I'm not like experienced. I wouldn't call myself experienced developer, but I have built my own product using Node.js as well, and but not using React, just vanilla JavaScript and HTML, CSS. So, but what do you think is your differentiator? Like, you probably have competitors, right?
Of course I do. Of course I have competitors. The email marketing scene is
Yeah,
so
email
crowded.
marketing is
It's
full. Yeah.
it's incredible. There's loads of people there. There's two things that really set me apart. First one is simplicity. Plunk is way easier to start using and to keep using compared to other platforms. The way I'm targeting it is towards SaaS companies, right? And what I notice is that many of these companies don't actually need all the knobs and dials that tools like MailChimp give you. I've abstracted these dials and knobs and I've tried to make it easier. Second one is not a sustainable differentiator, but right now it still is, and that's personality. If you're a Plunk user, you can expect emails from me, personal emails that I write to you asking like, hey, is everything going fine? Is everything working as expected? Which is something that you also don't get with these massive platforms, right? You're just customer number so much somewhere in the line.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that's a good differentiator. But I mean, if you get bigger, so like you'll have to hire people and so on. Like just if we imagine that, there is a chance that you could lose that differentiator in the long run.
Exactly, which is why I focus a lot on simplicity, because that is something that I can keep. It's something that's the core of Plunk, right? That simplicity.
Yeah, I do think simplicity matters a lot. So like lots of products, if they were a little bit more simple, they would be better. So I do think that's like I'm telling that as a UX designer, I would say,
That's
because
great.
yeah, simplicity is very important. So do you want to go over your website just to like quickly look at it?
Totally, feel free
Um,
to throw it up.
so it's useplank.com, right?
Yes, with a U, use Plunk.
Oh, what? Oops, what I'm doing? Use Plunk like this.
Yes,
Okay, good. Do you see my screen?
it is visible.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I mean, first of all, I have to say that I really like this, black and white theme that you have here. It's mostly black and white, which is pretty cool. I do think this illustration is also pretty great. It shows exactly what you do. It's like you wait for 2 days and then you can send the welcome email. Basically, it shows the automation. So that's also pretty great in terms of like explaining what your product does. So that's great. And yeah, I remember I looked at it quickly, and I thought in general it's pretty cool. And if I would give you like if I would just give a few tips,
Totally.
um, so well, the first thing that I was thinking about is, so the things that I'm going to say is they're not like critical, because there's nothing critical that I would change here. Just some like adjustments maybe. So for example, you see like this button gets started for free.
Mm-hmm.
I personally maybe would increase its height a bit, just to, I don't know, because this is gonna sound stupid, but bigger buttons usually get more clicks. It's as simple as that. I mean, obviously not in all cases, but it is pretty often the case. And and also I do like that it's black, but at the same time, for example, you have here blue colors. So if one day you decide to go colorful and you decide to make this button like blue or something like that, then I do believe that it could increase the number of people who click this button. So I do feel like it would be good for conversion optimization if the button is like colorful. In terms of UI, I do like that it's black. So as a UI guy, I would say it's perfect. But in terms of UX and optimizing conversions, maybe it was colorful. Maybe it would be a bit better in terms of optimizations. So that's the
Totally.
first thing that just came to my mind. Um, yeah, I mean, other than that, I do think all of this looks pretty cool. It tells you how it works, feedback. I mean, great. So then you show here that you use markup. That's also pretty cool. So I guess you're focused more on like simple email templates.
Exactly. There's also a very big reason that I'm focusing on these simple email templates. I'm speaking from my own opinion and the opinion of some of my friends that I did some research on. When was the last time you received an over the top email with colors and designs and thought, hey, this is an interesting email? If I see one of those emails in my inbox, it gets deleted instantly because I know it's a marketing email. I'm not interested in that. Sorry. Don't have time to read it. The reason I'm going for these simple templates, plain text, couple of basic images, is because they convert. People read them actually instead of just throwing them out.
Yeah, I do. I just think there's truth in that. I do think what you said is actually pretty. I do think it's correct because I am just thinking of myself. I also personally almost never open like this promotional looking emails. So yeah, I don't know why people still use them. I also prefer just like simple looking emails, where it's just text, and it just you understand what it is. Because promotional looking emails, it looks like they're just trying really hard to sell you something, and it just looks like a flyer.
And nobody wants to be sold, right? You don't want to get items sold to you. You just want to get the information that you need.
You know what it reminds me? You know when you walk outside in the streets, and then I don't know if you still see that in your area, but companies are trying to promote their business by using flyers. Like they give out flyers to people, and like the flyer, and that's what like these promotional emails. Like by promotional, I mean like where they have lots of colors, images, and all of like styling. That what it reminds me basically when companies are giving
Exactly.
out flyers on the streets because those flyers are not very useful. I think so. That's I think it's kind of similar with like this type of emails.
And do you like receiving those flyers? No, right? You just want to go on about your day. You don't want someone smashing a flyer in your face. In those marketing emails, it's the exact same thing, but just online.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. Yeah, I do think the like simple emails are much better. Uh, yeah, I mean, so I do think that's great. Just one additional thing I would tell you is maybe to add another button here where it says like start now or something like that, because that could also like increase conversions. I know you have it here, but if you just have it maybe here, or maybe just you make this stay on the top right, that would be nice as well.
Indeed. Right now I'm doing some research on scroll depth, right? So I'm using tools to check how far people scroll down, and I'm trying to place buttons at the spots where people wait. But that's still work in progress. I'm still figuring out where people stop.
Okay, that's that. Wow, that's pretty good that you're doing some like UX testing to see how far people scroll. So we can talk about that as well. Just like if have you tried to optimize your landing page? I
Sure.
mean, you said that you're using this tool, right?
Yes,
So you have experimented a lot.
I'm using a Microsoft product for this. Actually, it's called Clarity. It's a very unknown product, but it's heat maps for websites. And this is actually version 3 of my landing page. This is not version 1. I've been through 2 already. And it's a constant journey to improve it, right? Going from designs to content. I try to find the best page. It's difficult, but I think I'm getting closer and closer every day.
I do think like what you have right now looks good, and like probably like version 1 and 2 didn't look as good as this one. I guess if you have been improving, so yeah, it would be good if it was otherwise. Yeah, but I remember I was reviewing one product and they didn't have like a button at the very bottom of the page. Basically, they had only one button to get started, and then they didn't have that button anywhere else. And I was just like, guys, what are you doing? You're missing out on so many signups. You have the button only on the top of the page, and then people go to the bottom and they don't say anything. And once they added the sign up button on the bottom of the page, I think they increased their like signups by a lot. I don't remember what was the number, but it was a lot. So something simple like this can make a difference. It's weird how UX/UI works. I don't know if you have read any case studies regarding some interesting UX/UI case studies, but I remember like reading case studies like, for example, the button was green, they made it red, and they increased their sales twice. It's so stupid, but it works. So
It's incredible, but finding these opportunities is so difficult.
yeah, I know. It's. I remember. So you're a more experienced developer than me, so maybe you can tell me if that's possible or not. I remember, like, since I'm a designer, I wanted to create a product that, you know how, for example, SEO tools work or speed analytics work. You just enter your website, and they tell you if your website is fast enough
Mhm.
or if you like have all the SEO improvements or not. I wanted to do something similar for design. Basically, you enter your website URL. It analyzes your website, and then it tells you what can you improve in order to optimize your conversions and so on. But then I realized that it would be just too difficult to do. I don't even know where to start if I would approach this problem. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I get what you want to do. I think it's possible. It should definitely be possible. How I would tackle this problem, for example, is so first of all, you get the website and you need to find a list of problems that are very common in websites. And this can be things that are easily detectable, right? For example, bad call to actions. If they have a button at the top of their website, but the text on it is awful, like you see a lot of these come through, that's something that you can easily detect. Other topics are harder to detect. For example, the contrast ratio may not be right, stuff like that. It can help on converting people. Um, it's a big product, and I think if you can launch it, that would be really cool. But it's going to be some work.
yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. Like, if someone did this, that would be crazy. But it's a lot of work. But like what I was thinking, the first way I thought it could be possible is if by using computer vision or like AI that has analyzed, I don't know, tons of landing pages and just understands somehow, because I don't know exactly like how to create like an AI model or something like that, because I'm not very familiar with that. But that's what I was thinking. So
I wouldn't be surprised if AI is capable of generating the perfect landing page. Wouldn't it even be cool if you had a tool where you could just say, hey, I'm building an email marketing product, and that AI could say, like, hey, here's your landing page. This is all you need.
yeah, I know that would be pretty cool. The the closest tool that actually it's not close, but it's also pretty cool in terms of design. It's a tool that, like, for example, you create sketches of design on paper. You just make an image of it, and it transforms your sketches into like a real design. That's the closest things that I've seen.
Also, a very, very cool tool indeed.
Have you seen what I'm working on right now?
I have not actually.
Okay, so it's very early. I just launched like testing few like days ago with only like close friends. It's called Beep, and so let's see if I can give a good elevator pitch.
Exactly. The
Um,
elevator pitch to Bill Gates, right?
yeah. Well, it's a Chrome extension that allows you to create comments on any page anywhere on the screen. It makes it easier for you to provide feedback and instructions to for other people. So you can create a comment anywhere on any page. You can tag a person, and they will instantly get that comment. A use case would be, for example, you're building a website, and your client would look at the website, and just to give you feedback, they would just create comments on the page, and then you would see where are the comments and what is the comment. So that is a short version of what it.
That's a really cool idea. I personally don't have a use case for it because I'm operating by myself. But I can imagine if you're working together with other people, that's a very valuable tool.
Yeah, I do think so, because from what I've noticed, most teams, the ways they share instructions is they do screenshots or video recordings. And I just saw that screenshots are pain because you need to do a new screenshot for every task, and video recordings take time. So just leaving a comment is probably the quickest and easiest way to do that.
Exactly. If you think about how we review, for example, documents or PowerPoints, we don't record ourselves giving comment on it, right? We just write the comments out on the slide or on the line, and then people know where the problem is.
Exactly. That's actually a pretty good way to explain. I didn't think of that. Exactly. But another, and it also has another use case where you can actually, so you don't necessarily have to tag other people. You can also add hashtags to your comments, and the idea is that you can then search by hashtags. And so in other words, do you know Pocket?
I don't think I do.
So it's basically, so like, you know how you have to, like, when you find a page you just bookmark it, and you just bookmark different pages that you want to use later.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you would be able to like leave a comment anywhere on the page, add tags for it, and then it would work like a bookmark, but not just the page, but specifically the element on the page.
Okay.
And then you could just search through your tags and find anything that you bookmarked, and it would be like an easier way to save things on the web, basically.
That's really cool. And
So what do you think of that use case?
it would be even very interesting if that could work cross page, right? If you're analyzing an entire site, not just the first page. If, for example, there's a typography problem which exists on multiple pages, if you could just tag all of these with hashtag typography, and I could see them across my entire website, that would be so cool.
I would have to think how to do that. Yeah, it was really painful building that tool, I would say.
I can imagine.
Do you have like any future plans for Plunk?
I have. I'm gonna give you a little scoop here, right? I'm a very big fan of AI, and I'm pretty sure that AI can do mental things that which were never possible before. I think I'm able, with the right amount of data, to just completely eliminate all friction from email marketing. I'm pretty sure an AI should be able to write an entire marketing email, an entire drip campaign where you just say, hey, I'm selling this product and this is my target audience. And my AI can say, okay, you're going to send an email on the first day, the third day, and the fifth day. And this is the content of all those emails.
Oh, so not only the text, but also planning out like the schedule and the whole marketing.
Exactly. I think that should be possible with the right amount of data.
I do think that should be possible, as you said, with the right amount of data. If AI knows what works and what doesn't work, yeah, the most difficult thing here would be probably to find the data, what works and what doesn't work.
Data isn't the problem, right? But what does work? When it comes to marketing, it's very difficult to draw the line from, hey, this works and this doesn't work. So that's going to be a challenge, but that's definitely the goal for Plunk down the line.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. But like you said that, I'm just curious. Like when you build something, obviously you have to be passionate about it. What makes you passionate about email marketing? Like why email marketing?
When I build something, it is to solve a problem that I have myself. I've built projects in the past, right? And I've always wanted to add email marketing to it. But the tools I discovered were either way too expensive or way too complex. So that's why I decided to build Plunk. I wanted to solve that problem. I wanted a tool for myself, which I could use. And then in the end, people were like, hey, I'm actually also looking for this. I have this exact same problem. And it's a very sketchy approach because not all of your problems are other people's problems. But sometimes it works out. Like with Plunk, it worked out. There are other people with this problem. So that's how I became passionate about email marketing.
That I think that's a great story, because if it's, I mean, obviously it needs to be a personal problem, because if a company is started and you don't have the problem personally, then it's not the best thing to do, I guess. But did you have this like with your previous product? Like you said that you had this problem. Was it with some other product that you were trying to build?
It was a completely different product that had nothing to do with email marketing, but we wanted to implement email marketing into that product. And we were looking for a tool, but we simply couldn't find it.
Okay, well, at least you see that company. I don't know what happened with that, but I mean, if you're not working on that, it probably didn't work out. But it was useful for you in the long run to create Plank.
Indeed, that's the advice that I give to many people, right? The question, what should I build, gets asked to me a whole lot. Like almost every week, someone asks me, hey, do you have any ideas about what to build, any good business ideas that you're doing personally or going to build? I always tell them, like, build stuff yourself. Build something which may sound dumb, but build a to-do app. And when you're building that app, you're going to discover friction. You're going to find stuff that isn't working and that needs improvement. And if you do that enough, right, eventually your products are going to get more complex each time. You may start with a to-do app, then you go to a super complex development tool, and from there you may discover something which is a very big friction, and that could be a great business idea. That's also how I discover my ideas.
No, I don't think that's a good tip. It's just basically just start building something, and eventually, like during the process, you will discover a problem that you want to solve.
Indeed, right? But if you're not going to start build stuff, then you're never going to find that problem.
I don't think that's because I didn't know what to build for for a last year before I started working on BIP. That was a big problem. So and I just then I just started I just started working. I just started learning actually programming during that process, and then suddenly I discovered what problem I want to solve.
So that's how you get there, and now you have something to work on. And from there, you may even discover something else, another problem which you want to solve.
Okay, so that was almost an hour. I think that was pretty interesting and cool. We talked about lots of interesting things, and I'm also sure whoever is going to listen to this is going to be useful for that person because we mentioned like lots of things from marketing to building products. What do you think?
I think it was very interesting. We've talked about a whole bunch of stuff, right? And I feel like the mix between your UI UX perspective and my developer perspective, it sparks a lot of great ideas.
Awesome. Then wish you all the best and just talk to you sometime again.
All right,
Bye
lovely.
bye.
Bye bye.